Hi everyone, I am Mohammed Noor. I'm a Rohingya. I've been working on multiple projects to uplift the Rohingya community, and one of the project is how to digitize Rohingya language. So today we will talk about the Rohingya and the Unicode and how this language is helping the community. And then our next speaker, maybe you could start to introduce yourself.
My name is Craig Cornelius. I'm a senior software engineer at Google. I've been working with Mohammed for about 2 years, and I'm pleased to be presenting you information about the Rohingya Unicode process and what it's doing for the people in the real world these days.
Thank you, thank you. Yes. So we can start the slide and get into the topic. Here we go. So today's topic that we're going to talk about is how language uh, and, and technology helping the community, Rohingya community, especially in the diaspora in exile. Uh, we have our contact here. I'm Mohammed Noor, and this is my email address. And Craig email address is down. So maybe we can go to the next slide. I'm going to start with before introducing the language, introducing the people of Rohang, the Rohingya people who are living in Arakan state, today called the Rakhine state, which is part of Burma. We have a map here. On the left, we have Bangladesh, and you have India and China, Laos, and Thailand. So Myanmar is central, and Rakhine state is where you can see at left. So this is where most of the Rohingya been living for centuries and generation. And as we all know about the persecution of Rohingya and so on and so forth. So here we're going to talk about the language itself. So the language is a very mature, which has been spoken for centuries by the people of Rohang, and the language itself name called the Rohingya, and the people also called the Rohingya. So there's a lot of engraving up till today found in the ancient kingdom of Arakan called the Muruk. So the Rohingya language has been, especially the writing, has taken many shapes and forms due to the kingdoms and emperor and the colonization and so on and so forth up till 1980s. Maybe you can go to the next slide. So in 1980s, a group of scholars, which led by Maulana Hanif, come to a consensus that we should use a very unique character. So these characters are, some of them are new, some of them are driven from the ancient symbols, and tonal sign is the most important here. So this modern script is being introduced, which you can see on the right. So these are the alphabets, and then these are below are some sort of vowels and some of the tonal signs to pronounce the language or to pronounce the words. So since then, since 1980s up till today, a lot of people has adopted it in different places of the world, which we're going to talk about where Rohingya lives and so on. So books such as history, culture, and today we are writing news on a different like newspaper and web pages and so on. So this has been going on, and it's been spreading throughout the Rohingya community as we speak now as well. So today, if you talk about content, there are thousands of contents available, like books and magazine and newspaper and so on. Can we go to the next slide? So here we go with the Rohingya script was finalized in February 1998. There was about seven founders. Of course, it doesn't mean that it started in 1980s, because it started way long before 1980s, where there was a lot of multiple discussion went through to represent the tonal sign, to represent how we speak and how this language can formulate, why it's difficult to pronounce with different scripts, or maybe like using Roman, or maybe using Arabic and all this. What are the ways to put it? So next slide. So in 1980, that's what happened, and along the way, in year 2000, which is roughly about 20 years after the script was finalized, uh, the digital era has arrived, where people are in need of writing things on computer, sending things on computer, and designing things in computer. So it was not done. So that's where I come in. So I have started to look into it since 1995. So it took me about a couple of years, because I was young at that time. It's not that I'm not young now. Uh, so there's multiple phases went through, looking for people who can actually help us to do this, as we do not know on that time. So there's a lot of help went through, and then a lot of designing went through. So finally, I managed to develop in year 2000. Uh, as I was a student at that time, somewhere in high school, to develop the first digital font using the Arabic Unicode, and then changing the font into it. So where a lot of things has evolved since then, since year 2000. People have started writing computers, like especially books, even magazine, and many other. And then people have started to communicate, even through that, you know, through typing and printing it out and so on. So this is my picture, but this is considered a recent picture of me. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so now, what kind of capacity or what kind of things that we are talking about? Where are Rohingya, and what kind of in what kind of situation they are? So this is a map. Consider Asia all the way to Australia. So at this moment, since this is not the topic of Rohingya has been persecuted and genocide and so on, what I'm going to talk about is Rohingya has been driven out of home for last 3-4 decades. Today, 90% of the population is outside Burma. So this is where they exist. I will start from left, which is Saudi Arabia is estimated about 300,000. This is again, this is not a confirmed figure. This is an estimate figure, because there is no census has been done. So this is like among the community. After doing research for a couple of months, so there's about 300,000 in Saudi Arabia, about 10,000 in the UAE, and Pakistan about 350,000, and India is about 40,000. Bangladesh are estimated about 1.3 million people, which is most of them are in Cox's Bazar in refugee camp, and of course within Burma as well. There's about 400,000 to 500,000, which is not mentioned here, because we do not call them displaced, because they are still inside Arakan, in the Rakhine state. And then moving further right, which is about Thailand, roughly estimated about 5,000, Indonesia 2,000, and Malaysia consider 150,000 people. And I mean, as we speak, of course, population is increasing and number could also increase. So most of them are unfortunately, without being a stateless, they have no identity, they have no sort of uh, formal education. So what happened today for Rohingya? Most of them unfortunately left illiterate, so they do not know how to read and write. So as they move along, if they go to India, they have Indian language and of course writing system. They have to study. If you go to Saudi Arabia, they have different. So what unites us or what put us all into one identity and or a same vision is this language. So this spoken language is the thing that we have in common in all of us, wherever they live. So now taking a shape into a writing and then connecting us in diaspora is very, very important. So this is how a demography of Rohingya today. As we speak, it might change as well. If we go to the next slide, we can talk about the situation and how people are living in. So if we go to the next slide, fantastic. So this is one of the one of my favorite picture where children are learning languages in their slate here. There's a little chalk. This picture was taken in one of the schools, informal school, of course, in the camp, in a refugee camp in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, where children are trying to learn the alphabets. You can see how they're dressed up, what kind of facility they are using here. So with the minimum facility, but education is what is going to empower Rohingya. Education is what going to uplift Rohingya people. So there are many pictures, of course. We're just selecting a few. You can actually, later on, we're going to direct you to a couple of sites where you can actually find more pictures, more interesting things. So if we could go to the next slide. Yes. So this is also another picture where a teacher teaching children. You can see the books down there on the floor. It's like a KG1 or KG2. There's a lot of books has been developed as we have discussed. So these are alphabets, how they connect the alphabets. So this teaching. So based on our estimation, in Bangladesh alone, there are about 30. 30 plus schools, informal schools that run by a couple of NGOs, run by local donors, by the community or community representative and organizations, which is extremely low funded, less equipped, and you can see the just through the picture, not only the books there, you can see the background. So they're living in a hut where bamboo sticks are being put together. But as we talk, the most important thing here is that the young generation should be educated, and which for the last 20, 30 years, that's what we have been doing, giving education on different places. And most importantly, this generation will take on because they are tech savvy and so on. So which will help them. So this can we go to the next slide? This is very interesting. This is a demonstration being done to seek for justice uh, for school children. You can see is all age 7 to 10, 12, where they are holding a banner written in Rohingya that we need we demand justice. We want to go back to school. Our parents has been persecuted. Our land has been taken. So this is also a good example of how this language is connecting, how all these pieces are working together. If we go to the next. Um, so there was a couple of course, there's a lot of ceremony being held. Is just one of the ceremony held in year 2000, where when we have developed the when I have developed the web fund. So I was awarded with a certificate saying that this is a great achievement for Rohingya language, from a manual to transform into a digital world where now more possibility opens up. If we go to the next. Yes, so this is one of my favorite, of course. So these three little children that you can see, they were singing a song basically for the people, for the nation, and also for me, praising that this has helped the entire Rohingya community, like on a dry land. So I just want to quote a few lines from the poetry itself, which is also written in Rohingya. A dry land without a plant, without vegetation, uh, it's like a dead land. So since the rain came, now things are growing. Life is coming back. So bringing digital presence into the Rohingya language, it's like raining now on the people, and most importantly, now people can thrive. So that sort of thing. So I would like to play at this time where a small clip of these little children where they're singing, so that you can hear how beautiful and how cute this was. And now I think these little children, since year 2000, now we are in 2020, most of them are married and they have their children as well. So yeah, let's see the clip. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So this was held in Malaysia. You can see me there in the center. We have friends, and the reason I'm showing for this picture is for, most importantly, you can see on the back of T-shirt, Rohingya has been written there on the back of T-shirt. So not only on the demonstration, not only on the schools, but also people in a daily life, we are printing T-shirts for solidarity, telling that I'm a Rohingya, stop genocide and save humanity. This was one of the commemoration day of Rohingya persecution and so on, but where people now trying to bring this the language, because this collects them, this binds them as an identity, and legitimizes our solidarity and so on. So now not only certificates and books, but also like T-shirts, there are a couple of mugs now, people printing and so on. So usage of multiple. So this all with the help of the digital world, where you have to design, you can design, and you can do what, so many sorts of things. So if we go to the next slide. Okay, so what was life like before the Unicode? So of course, life was uh, good, but it was difficult, as this is how. So I have developed the two font. One is called Guaya Leka, and one is called Kuna Leka. Guaya means rounded shape. Kuna means squared shape. If you talk about it. So this was used on an Arabic code, Arabic Unicode, replacing, but of course the difficulty is connecting the words and putting all this together, because Arabic setting and the Rohingya setting are different. And as we speak, I also like to mention Rohingya is also RTL, right to left, where the way Arabic is written. So this is how the font was. It doesn't look that good like how it's look now in the Unicode, but a lot of things has been used. Uh, we have developed many documents and textbooks and many certificates and all these things we have been using for the last up till 2018. So this was our help, the fund that I have developed, and assisted the community on doing this. So now, because of this, there's a multiple things has came on the surface, as I said, like books and magazine, and especially school syllabus and so on. So these were the two fonts. So let's go to the next slide. And fantastic. So this was one of the newspaper cut that in my collection, Rohingya news paper. Uh, One of the first news is called the Ittihad. Ittihad is a Rohingya word of solidarity, unity. So this cut was in 1986. So it's way back there when people use the handwriting and then photo stated and then distribute in different places to connect people, because Rohingyas are dispersed and displaced in different parts of the world. So they want to bring the language as a communication tool to communicate and to know on each other. So this is way before when the internet, was not widely available, and other sorts of communication was. So this was the only way of communication tool that people use for those. And I have a couple of other news cards as well. So I want to go through roughly. Maybe you can go to the next slide. So this was another newspaper uh, in 1998 of that. So it's called Hokdar. Hokdar mean the rightful, or the right. So this is all again previously, and this was handwritten. You can see some sort of calligraphy is being done, some sort of nice texture is being done all by hand, by putting a lot of effort by the people. So this was on archive. So we can go to the next slide. So this is another slide of Serak. Serak is mean candle, which is a light. Was in 2001 and after that as well. They have used, this is what in the encoding font of the Arabic encoding font, we have used it, and using different tools like a word processor of Microsoft and so on, where people can design and make all these sort of things that you can see now on the picture. So this was some of the work that people have done. Can we go to the next slide? We have seen some of the schools back in Bangladesh. So this is one of the school was in Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure about the date, but it seems like quite old, where you can see a signboard on the wall there, up on the door. It talks where Rohingya language has been taught, and according to our list also, which was collected back in 2015. There were roughly in 2000, from 1980 up till 2000, year 2000 over, roughly there was about 180 to 200 overplus schools all over the world, in Bangladesh, in Saudi Arabia, in Burma, in India. Today now it adds up more. We have schools in Malaysia as well, and many other parts of the world where teaching and more contents have been produced. So this is one of the old schools that has children has graduated basically with the language and more. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. So this is just one example, of course, out of the book. So this is a world map, which is written in Rohingya. It's a world atlas. There's a whole book. Uh, it's like about 80 to 90 pages of world atlas. Each country, what kind of resources they have, and where, and so on. So this is one of the oldest Rohingya map, which has been translated, of course, and world atlas has been written back about 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Let's go to the next slide. So now here I would like to hand over to our other speaker, the colleague, where we've been working on the Unicode and all the writing system and so on. So he can talk about this, and then I will talk about some other things later. Go ahead.
So the Unicode process is well known to many of you. It's not fast. The original proposal for the Unicode encoding of Rohingya was in 2011, and it took 7 years to go from that original proposal through several iterations. Mohammed was involved in this, and Ansuman Pandey, whom many of you know, was also involved in this work through the Script Encoding Initiative at UC Berkeley. In Unicode 11, just 2 years ago, Hanafi Rohingya was added as one of the standard scripts. It is in the supplemental planes. It is not in a basic plane, so it requires in UTF-8 3 or 4 bytes to encode each character. After Unicode standardization, several things have happened. The fonts that were used with the Arabic encodings were modified, and so Rohingya Noris 1 was developed 2 years ago. Last year, Google developed Noto-Sans Hanafi Rohingya and made that publicly available. And recently, Mohammed and I have worked on keyboards prototyping so that we can find ways that people can easily type these and plan where the individual characters would be. And online applications are starting to work now. For example, some search engines support finding websites and text. Twitter can be used, and other things can be used with the Rohingya script, as long as people have this installed on their desktop or laptops. So this is just a sample of the new Unicode fonts that we have. The Noris 1 is very similar to the Gunya Lekka, and Noto-Sans Hanafi is a different style, but it was designed, as all Noto-Sans fonts are designed, to work together with other different scripts so that when multilingual documents are prepared, then there is a similarity in the scripts and uniformity. Now they're available in four weights on GitHub, from regular, semi-bold, medium, bold, medium, semi-bold, and bold. And these are all available publicly on the GitHub site. For our prototyping, we built a website. There are several languages represented in language tools on AppSpot, but the Rohingya keyboard has 3 or 4 different layouts that we experimented with, trying different ways of inputting characters and characters with diacritics. Since the Rohingya script is unicameral, does not have capital and lowercase letters, most of the characters fit on one layer, and you can also see the digits on the top row, and some modifier keys are on the shift layer as well. And we continue our experiments. Switching to Unicode is not a fast thing, as you well know. Converting from font encodings to Unicode is a long process. Now, with the work of Mohammed and others, websites are using Unicode web fonts, and because many people do not have the fonts installed in their own computers, web fonts make it possible for them to read the news, read text, and so on. Mobile applications are being developed also, but this requires people to install fonts on their mobile devices. Video animations can be done, but there's still some challenges remaining for seamless use of Unicode, which happens with many new scripts. It takes a while for technology companies to develop all the pieces to integrate the Unicode libraries that support newer scripts. And so one of the biggest barriers is the availability of fonts on all devices. It turns out that on my Android phone 2 weeks ago, I got an update to Android 11, and the Rohingya script is now on that in the form of Noto. But older phones, of course, and phones that do not yet have that upgrade do not have this script unless it's actually installed. Unicode methods for input are not universally available. In fact, there are very few of them that are actually available, especially on mobile devices. And some application suites can't use Rohingya Unicode at all. There's also in complete support of text properties. I can paste this text into different applications, both online and desktop applications, and they don't recognize that it's a right to left script and that it needs right justification. So Mohammed, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now we're going to talk about further. Uh, we have an association or organization which is Rohingya Zuban, Rohingya Language Organization. So this organization is basically the oldest organization, and most importantly, the point of reference where all these things have evolved, from writing books, from writing dictionaries and grammar and all other books and texts and syllabus, including articles and so on. So this is the logo of Rohingya Zuban. Uh, so we have also developed a Rohingya website as well. It's called rohingyazuban.org, which is right down there below. So this is a kind of where the central point where people can now we are putting up multiple content up there. School books are there. I will show you some of the screenshots, and historical books and archive of many news cards and pieces and articles and dictionary, grammar, and many more to come. And currently, this is the only source of Rohingya script content, and the organization backed by a lot of intellectuals which have been working for a couple of decades now to develop books, magazines, and so on. So this is where all of you can actually visit and look at. Of course, there are many other websites being developed now as an educational tool, as Rohingya Academy is one, and Rohingya language is one, and many others. So, but the more important point here is that this is like where you can get all, and then if you need any suggestion, if you have any issues to refer to talk to check whether this is correct, this is we are going on the right direction. So this is the organization to refer to guide you more. Very important point is this one. And then can we go to the next slide? Okay, so this is one of the screenshot from the rohingyazuban.org. So these multiple books has been posted up there. So there's a lot of people working behind the organization to make all this thing happen, writing books and then designing them, and most importantly, making them public, free of cost. So that people can download, because Rohingya you can see all around the world where people can download and then print it out and then teach their children. So this is many syllabus, which is you can see some children's and graphics been work done there, because the new generation will take on from here to develop even further. So this is a collection of books. Of course, there are many. You can refer to the site. Can we go to the next one? So this is considered news and events and updates of the Rohingya language related, where events are happening, how many schools are there, what type of development has been happening, updates, and so on. Also, and screenshot from the rohingyazuban.org, the location where you can find most of the information. And of course, archives are there, as I mentioned, and updates, any related queries as well. People want to know more, they can refer to. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so this is another example. As I have mentioned earlier, I'm running a couple of organizations. One of them is called the Rohingya Vision. This is considered the world first Rohingya television channel and a news network. We have multiple versions, English, Burmese, and Rohingya. So now this is a website has been developed using web font, the Notosan especially, where we put news, like we had newspaper cuts earlier, back in the day. Now we have online news website, a portal where we are constantly updating the current situation of Rohingya all around the world. Different parts of the world have different ways to look at it. So this is one of the great example of the using technology and getting the news out there so that people can connect and communicate. So this is also considered the world first Rohingya website in a way. We're putting a lot of content and a lot of people also behind this organization working quite hard to put all this information together on the website. Okay, so this is the exciting part of it. I'm gonna play a video after this, but what I want to know, Rohingya Vision, of course, as I told you, is a television. So we used to broadcast in satellite. Now we are broadcasting back in YouTube as well. So we have multiple channels in Burmese, in English, and so this is our Rohingya YouTube channel. We have roughly now 230 over plus thousand subscribers, and we broadcast daily Rohingya news in Rohingya language, and most importantly, the title and text also in Rohingya, which you can see in the video. So this is animation is done through After Effects and many other tools, but of course it was difficult to put all the font. Then we have to use a PDF, we have to use images to get all these things put all together. This is a different font we are using. So this is a slide. So let me play the videos for you to understand how this news works. How are we putting the title? How are we using this technology? Also, using multimedia and news and video clips to connect people. Let's watch the video.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম রহমতুল্লাহি ওবরাকাতুহু। আজ্জা 21 তারিখ মে 2020 বিশিবাৰৰ খবৰলৈ অনৰৰ ফুৱাতে আছে আই আজমিৰ ফলেশ্বৰত চাই আজ্জাৰ আৰু ভিজন খবৰৰ সুৰখে অকল আমফান বৰ্তমানৰ গতি হমিয়াই মুখ দিয়ে অন্যমিকা দজাহেৰ ভাষাঞ্চৰত থোৱানে মাৰিবাৰ বেকানুনি থাইল্যান্ডত গ'লে ডজনৰ ওৰে ৰোহিংগা গ্ৰেফতাৰ থাইল্যান্ডৰ পুলিচে।
Okay, so now next. Okay, so now I want to highlight, of course, there are multiple media outlets out there. Since the Unicode has been done, there's a lot of great media coverage from all around the world. So this is one of the best article came in the Guardian, where it has a nice title. It has a nice title. It says it legitimizes the struggle. The Rohingya has been struggling for years for their identity, for their existence, and so on. So all this work, the digitization, the fund, and all these things comes ultimately. We're not talking about technology, even though we are, but it's a real life. It's affecting some real lives and generation to come as well. So it gives a lot of sense of belongingness, sense of unity, sense of happiness within the Rohingya community, thrills all across the Rohingya community around the world. Different media outlets has highlighted this because there's a parallel things going on, which is a Rohingya persecution, and Rohingya has been driven out and all this. So at the same time, these are some good and happy news and positive news. So with the help of a lot of people, and at this point, I really would like to also recognize and appreciate Mr. Craig's effort in pushing all this together for the last 2 years. He has been working extremely hard in supporting us as well to put all these things together and pieces, and Anush and many others, which he has mentioned earlier, and many other institutions as well, to put all these things together. So let's go to next slide. Okay, so now back to Craig.
I just wanted to point out a few new developments. We have been working with a Keyman version of keyboards that is allowing us now on Mac OS and also on Windows to actually type in Rohingya using the keyboard layouts similar to what you saw in the prototypes before. But many of the applications don't completely understand that the Rohingya script or how the Rohingya script works. So for example, we have to manually set things to be right to left in some cases, and also setting justification manually. We hope that this will be rectified in the future when applications use the properties of the text better. We also have an online converter, because there is a substantial amount of text that was written using the pre-Unicode fonts. We built an online converter, and people can paste their old text into the top part, touch the button, and Unicode version will come out. And we've used this for some small amounts of text. It's also possible, of course, to write programs that would convert other kinds of documents. And as I mentioned earlier, Android 11, just becoming available now, includes the Noto Sans Rohingya font in the standard Unicode release. And this is very exciting, because this opens the door for people to start building applications, and they will be able to use the Rohingya script in their applications, perhaps keyboards as well, without having to take the painful step of installing fonts on their own devices. But again, many applications are not yet aware, including my email program here, where I'm showing you the text. But this is positive news, and we hope that progress will continue to be made. Back to you, Mohammed.
Thank you. So, of course, a lot of work has been done offline and online with the help of community and intellectuals and technologists and many. So, so far, what Craig has mentioned so far for the last 2 years, there's a lot of, quite a number of development happened. 2 to 3 Unicode font has been developed. Adoption, there's many tools available now to type. We have a keyboard on a Keyman, which we have also worked on it. And now a couple of applications now people can write. But of course, it doesn't end there, but it needs further development. It needs further easy in terms of, so the ultimate great news is the including in Android in version 11, which is now in a way, it also very nice. In Unicode version 11 we have been included also, and now in Android 11 also we have been included. So that is that's a really great news and fantastic thing to look forward. And most importantly, as we speak, there's a lot of excitement, thrill all around Rohingya. Oh yes, now we can use Rohingya to communicate. We can use now maybe WhatsApp or Messenger or Facebook, and all those kind of, because there's a lot of technologies available, especially the young generation are very tech savvy, right? They want to do Snapchat, they want to do Instagram, they want to do this, they want to write in Microsoft, they want to do Google and all those things, but limiting them now, because it's not been widely adopted and accepted. So this will help increase a lot of things. So I mean, from this platform, what we want to call for is, if there is a way we can collaborate. So we'd like to see multiple organizations working on it. So we welcome anyone who want to be part of this great initiative, not only for the sake of technology and so on, but also helping some real people, the most marginalized people that really needs this your support on different. So at this moment, as I told you, a couple of applications there, but still there's a lot of difficulties. If you want to write on Microsoft Word, if you want to write on any other application, fonts are not being recognized, right to left is not being recognized. So there's a lot of tweaking has to do. Not everyone is, tech savvy, or, that can, do that kind of tweak as well. Just want to highlight here also, people are now into a lot of video animation. So in video animation, you need a lot of graphic tools. right? From Apple, from Microsoft, and from other companies and products. So these products is not supporting the language, so it's limiting people to, for instance, like Rohingya Vision. So we are a television production organization as well. So for us to produce this news, just to write a simple text, we need to find a keyboard, we need to find a font that supports that, and then we need to convert it into PDF. This PDF has to be taken to the Photoshop or any other editor tools, take out the text, and then change the color and put it in the title. So a simple typing, now we have to do many steps to put it in like Premiere or After Effect or even Photoshop or many Final Cut, that kind of things. So that's that's the journey that if we can cut that as well. So there's many other, and of course we are looking for different kind of collaboration. It could be text, it could be font, it could be application, it could be translation services where we can develop more comprehensive dictionaries or TLDR. We've been a couple of days, we've been talking about that as well, repositories, and of course optical recognition is another one. OCR from all characters. How can we convert all these things rather than using conversion tool? You still have to type it down. But if OCR can be implemented, where things can be digitized as well. There's a lot of old documents and all this. But also want to highlight, of course, the technologies such as AI. And most importantly, the voice recognition, search on voice and voice technologies, which might not be the topic, but it still can be developed. So there's many more things need to be developed, which is by the companies like who are now involved here. So we call on collaboration on different things to develop on desktop application, online applications, OCR, and all those application that really going to help our people. Yes. So it's been really a great journey. So this is how you say in Rohingya, shukriya, means thank you very much. This is how you write as well. And this is Google Natusan font, which is a beautiful work, artwork. So from me, I would like to really thank you, especially those who are listening, and especially those who have been working. And we are open for collaboration. Would like to see more further development and be part of this noble journey. Back to you, Craig.
Thank you very much. It has been a joy and a privilege to work with you, Mohammed, and I look forward to us continuing to make it possible for your people all around the world to use their language and enhance their ability to communicate and improve their lives. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.